Welcome in, everybody, to the Casual Sports Podcast. No Alec and no Mike today, so guess what? You're going to be stuck with the good old Nat Morrison here. I'm going to try and go for the full hour. We'll see where we are. I'm going to talk a bunch of stuff here today. We'll talk, college football championship. We're going to talk about that wild NFL day yesterday. We're going to talk about a little bit about some of the coaches being departed as well. And of course, I'll go into some NBA and NHL as well. But tune in here. There's as always, Alec is producing, so he might put some stuff in here. But thank you. Good luck. It's my first solo show here. Let's try and get this going here. So I'm gonna first talk about the Georgia-Alabama game, man. Everybody's been waiting for this game. Even me for a while. Too bad it's a little later in the night, but it's definitely going to be a pretty good one to watch here. Of course, a lot of people wanted to see, good old Cincinnati in, but, the fact that, Alabama gets to pretty much every championship every year is just amazing. And Georgia's right up there with it. Georgia's favored by 2.5 in this game, which is, a lot of people are questioning it because, the Alabama defeated Georgia the first time. And the big question is, can Georgia come in and, defeat Alabama this time? It's going to take a lot for them to do that. But it's hard. It's also hard to beat a same team twice. And everybody knows that. It's hard to beat the same team twice. It just is. But, they're both 13-1 games. See, Alex going in right here. Thank God he's going to pop in here. We can talk about what he's picking. He's picking Alabama. Yes, greatest head coach of all time. Alabama already exposed this team a couple weeks ago. Like, honestly, they did. They made Georgia look horrible, but they made their top defense look bad. Stetson Bennett couldn't get anything out of it either. 13-1. The only game they're looking at is that Georgia game or that Alabama game, because that's honestly the only clear team they've beaten all year. They barely got past a Clemson team that has been rebuilding this whole year, and they barely beat them. And then, they had a bunch of cupcake wins. They play Arkansas, they blow out Arkansas, they blow out Auburn, and we talked about Alec and Mike and I talked about how inconsistent Auburn has been. They torch a Kentucky team that, everybody hyped them up, even I did, but everybody knew that they were no match for Georgia. And, Florida was bad. Really, Missouri, they blew out Tennessee. Pretty much everybody they played, they blew out. And then the big game everybody was hyping up. They play Alabama for the SEC championship game, and they lose 41-24. And, everybody's like, oh, Georgia's the team this year. Well, not really. Stetson Bennett, 340 yards in that game, 3 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. That Alabama defense is just so overwhelming at times. And then, Bryce Young, he won the Heisman for a reason. 3 touchdowns, 421 yards. Look at him to get going in this game too. And look, the receiving core, Jamison Williams, they got him from Ohio State. He's been doing nothing but succeeding here with Alabama. 7 receptions, 184 yards in that game. John Mechie, that'll be another guy to get to as well. And I really like what Jaleel Billingsley is really forming into. And then you talk about their defense. Everybody said Georgia was the best defense here. They have Jordan Thomas, 4 tackles in that last game. Jordan Thomas, I think, is hyped up too much, honestly. But, he's still – I'm not saying he's a bad player, but still, I think they hyped him up too much. He can't tackle very well. Okay, 4 tackles. He was all the way down the list on the tackle list. Lewis Klein had the most tackles in that game, 7 solo tackles. Look for him to, move around in this game as well. And then this Alabama defense is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. They have Will Anderson, who they were talking Heisman even for Will Anderson. Will Anderson definitely going to be a top draft pick. I'm cutting up. Oh, stay on here. He's only a sophomore, so he'll be here for at least maybe one more year. The guy has. Oh, I think we're here. If I cut out here, just bear with me, everybody. Bear with me. But going on with Will Anderson, he's first with sacks, 17 and a half sacks on this year, 54 solo tackles. That's tied for 75th. But, I mean, the sacks, he can get back there and get to the quarterback. And look out for, I mean, Stetson Bennett's going to have his hands full with this guy and the rest of this defense for Alabama. It's I don't know. My pick here. Alex going with Alabama. I'm going with Alabama here too. They've been doing this for years. Nick Saban, best coach. Kirby Smart, good coach, but I mean he's just another one of Saban's pupils. Honestly, he was under Saban and trying to do his own thing, and you know how that is with Saban going up against his former assistant coaches. Until this year, he was undefeated, but finally Jimbo Fisher beat him or whatever. But I don't see that happening twice in the same season. Alabama's going to come here and claim just yet another national championship. I think it's going to be similar to the SEC championship as well. I think it's going to be like a 20-point game, honestly. But if you want to stay up late, go ahead and watch it. I mean, I'm going to try and watch it, but it's going to be a late one. Now, I want to talk about that for a second here. Everybody who watches college football knows that it's a Saturday thing, and then the championship game, they put it on a Monday at 8. Like, people don't want to watch that at 8 o'clock at night. They're going to sleep. They're getting ready for work the next day. Honestly, though, they should seriously consider making this a Saturday thing because college football is Saturday, honestly, and you put it on a Monday. I just don't get that, but I won't go into that too much. But that's all I got here for the Alabama Georgia game. I think Georgia may hang in with it for a little bit, but in the end, Alabama will probably pull away. Even though Georgia is favored, I don't know why they're favored. Honestly, maybe just to make it look better. But moving on from that, let's go into the NFL now. Before I get in and preview all these games, I want to talk about all these coaches getting fired. We're going to start with Mike Zimmer of the Vikings. Now, this one, he was there for a while. Third winningest head coach in Vikings history, 72-56 and one tie over 8 years. I don't know. I don't really think that was a good move. I mean, I guess it's a second consecutive year with a losing record. I guess that was their reason. Their GM was also fired too. Rick Spielman is out too. Maybe they just decided it's time to start fresh and let's just move on. Let's get somebody in here new, maybe a new scheme to get their players better. Get their players more plays. Guys like Dalvin Cook and Kirk Cousins. He's not the best quarterback, but maybe they'll bring somebody in to hopefully make plays for him that he's able to play short passes and maybe somebody that really loves the run because just run Dalvin Cook when he's healthy, he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. But I'll give these grades. Why not? I can do what I want. I'm by myself. But this one, it's got to be like a C. I don't see why. I mean, they could have let him hang around. I guess it's time to move on. He's been there for a while, and he hasn't gotten to a major playoff appearance. I mean, no NFC championships or anything like that. I think they got into one and got blown out by the Eagles when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. And I think that was based off the whole Minnesota Miracle, the whole thing with Stephon Diggs. I think that's the only reason why they got there. But yes, you've given me too much power. Now listen, this show was supposed to be canceled today. I'm like, no way, I'm doing it all by myself. I'm here by myself. I can do whatever I want. Just don't cut me out here, Alec. But Mike Zimmer, gotta give it a C. I don't know. I don't understand that. Next one, this is worse. I don't know why this happened. The Dolphins fired Brian Flores. They started 1-8, made this huge comeback in the season to become 500, and then they lost, and then eventually were eliminated by the playoffs. I mean, And then they just beat the Patriots as well to finish off with a winning record for this season. I mean, Flores compiled, he was around 500, 24 and 25 in his, first stint as an NFL head coach. I guess that, I don't know why they would do that. Flores was finally getting that Dolphins team turned around, getting them right where he wanted it to be, and they go ahead and say, all right, that's it, you've had enough. I don't get that. He finally got to where he was going. I think one more year, I think he would have had him right where he was, and they would have got something going with the run game as well. He was only there. They only gave him a couple. He was hired in 2019. You only gave him like 3 years. Come on. The Dolphins are a horrible team. They were like the Jets. We didn't want to talk about them or anything. These past couple of seasons were at least promising, okay? And, the guy has coaching knowledge. He spent a lot of time with the Patriots, and all you can learn there, honestly. You got Bill Belichick to learn from. And they go to Miami. He beats his former boss as well, beating, Mac Jones, everybody played. They played full force, and the Dolphins came out and just played a better game than they did. Good play calls and everything that they needed to do to win. I'll talk about that more in a little bit when I preview the games. But I don't understand why they let go of Brian Flores. I'm actually going to give this an F. Honestly, I think Flores was the right guy, but good luck. Watch them bring in somebody horrible, and they won't be able to get back to where they were. All right. Next one, I'll save this one for last. We'll go to Vic Fangio for the Denver Broncos. They let him go after the loss, 28-24. They gave the Chiefs a battle, but Chiefs are just dominant, and they make plays that nobody. Pat Mahomes makes plays that I can't even believe. I can't stand the guy, but he can make some plays, and that's where they ended up, winning this game. But a 4-game losing streak to finish this campaign, that likely sealed his fate. 4-game losing streak when he started off like 3-0 as well. He was, he spent 3 years in Denver, 19-30 overall. Since winning Super Bowl 50, the Broncos have not been to the playoffs in 6 years. That's the second longest active streak. And that's a good reason to let somebody go. Honestly, Peyton Manning loses, and that was your best player. I get it, but in 6 years, you can't bring in somebody. I've talked about this past year. They needed a quarterback problem. They needed a quarterback, okay, and they passed on Mac Jones. Look at Mac Jones. Look at Mac Jones and the Patriots. They're in the playoffs. They are. I don't get that. I don't get why they pass on that. But Vic Fangio, at least they're starting something to rebuild a little bit. Next thing is they got to get a quarterback. They honestly have to get somebody in there that's not Teddy Bridgewater. I love Teddy Bridgewater. I like what he's done in his career. The whole Minnesota thing. I like that. But he's not your go-to guy. And Drew Lock, everybody knows this thing about Drew Lock. Dear God. How is he even playing? He's played decent, but he's not your starter. That Drew Lock is just not the starter. It just no. So they got to hope they figure something out with that quarterback position. I'll give this one. This one was pretty good. We'll give it a B. Now this one is definitely an A. Okay, Matt Nagy finally fired by the Bears. Thank God, and they also fired their GM Ryan Pace as well. Thank God, Bears fans are so happy I bet right now. Because they finished 6-11, and even the players wanted him out. Even the players, it was at least surprising. We'll put it as that, that he got fired. He was under fire for almost this whole year. Like everybody wanted him out of there. They didn't want Nagy there, and now, there we go. Now Justin Fields really does have a great chance to be a great quarterback. I won't even put good in it. I think he would be a great quarterback with the Bears, honestly. Now that Nagy's gone, better play calls will come in. A lot of players were like, really, why are you using that in this situation? They were fed up with him, despite in 2018. Yeah, he never changed the system. Yeah, that's a plain fact right there. Alec, thank you for helping me here. I mean, look at this though. Nagy was voted NFL Coach of the Year in 2018. They were 12-4. They went to the NFC North title, but I think that's when the double doink happened, and that was horrible. But that's the only good season out of this. He gave you one good year, and that's it. That was it. This one is definitely an A. I got to go with that. But enough of that. Hopefully these teams can come through, and I'm sure we'll have more coaches fired. I mean, we know Urban Meyer was fired, but we talked about that, and the other one was John Gruden, but he resigned. That was a long time ago. We talked about that, but now these coaches join those coaches possibly looking for a new job. I don't know if Gruden will try and find a new job. He might just stay retired, and I don't think Urban Meyer should ever coach again after what just happened. But Matt Nagy, maybe these guys will be better fits somewhere else, or maybe not in a head coaching position. Maybe they'll be better as a defensive or offensive coordinator. But enough of that. Now we're moving on. We're going to stay in the NFL, but now I'm going to preview. I'm going to go over all these games. Okay. So first game, I'm going to start with the Chiefs Broncos. So this goes into fact. Vic Fangio. This was the game. It was one of the games that it's time. He can't. They had a good game. Drew Lock, 162 yards, no touchdowns, but no interceptions, but no touchdowns at all. Melvin Gordon, great performance by him, but he also probably lost this game. He had a huge fumble in this game that gave the Chiefs the lead because they scooped it up and ran it all the way back, and that was pretty much it right there. That pretty much said, we're taking this game, we're in the lead, that's it. Patrick Mahomes, not too bad, 270 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Great play by Travis Kelce near at the end. It was 4th down, they needed a first down, and they got it. Sorry about that interference. But they got it. It was a tight pass, and Kelce just flew in and grabbed it. But that's what players like that are going to give you. Mahomes, Kelce, as much as I can't stand these players, they're going to get you wins, okay? And by God, help Pittsburgh, because that's who we're playing. Well, I'm sure we'll preview that game later in the week, but that's who Pittsburgh has to play. And we all saw what happened a couple of weeks ago, and they didn't even have Travis Kelce in that game. So just please pray Pittsburgh. I don't know. It's going to be horrible. But you never know, though, because everybody was counting Pittsburgh out. But we'll talk about that here in a little. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But this game, it was a good game. I watched it. It was one of those Saturday games. It was a close game. I wanted to see a close game. I wasn't going to watch it if the Chiefs came in and just blew it away. So, but it at least was a good game. And the Broncos, they're a couple pieces away. I think they need a quarterback. They got the running back. Melvin Gordon would definitely be their running back. They have a couple good receivers. Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, those are good guys. Wait till they get KJ Hamler back. Maybe a couple defensive guys and a quarterback, and I think they'll be truly a contender here. Maybe next year even. You never know. But that's it for that. That's pretty much all I got for that game. Chiefs, obviously, in the playoffs. Broncos, yes, eliminated. Finished 7-10, and Chiefs 12-5. So, that's the regular season there. I just thought I'd throw that in there. That's what they finished. But moving on, next game here, going on down the list. Let's see let's pick a game. I can pick whatever we want. Let's go Cowboys. I'll fly through this one pretty easily. Cowboys Eagles. Of course, Mike's team came in 51-26. I thought they were in trouble, honestly. It was a close game that first half, and then the Cowboys just decided to blow it open in that second half. Can't believe, unbelievable. 51-26. This was a tied game at one point. I think they were up. It was tied almost going into halftime, and then Cowboys got up by 2 touchdowns and just never looked back, honestly. I'm going to go with Philly here first. Of course, Jalen Hurts inactive for this game. But Gardner Minshew, what's that? Eagles have had a great season. Can't wait to see what they can do in the playoffs against Tampa Bay. But, yeah, the Eagles still made the playoffs. Their season's not over. This game was meaningless. It just was this, another another thing that looked good on paper. Oh, they beat the Cowboys, or if they would have beat them. But Gardner Minshew, of course, Hurts was inactive. They had a great season so far. I like what the Eagles done. Gardner Minshew really put out a performance here. Minshew Mania, Minshew Magic, whatever you want to call it. 186 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But honestly, this was like his tryout for like maybe a different team. He might not want to be a backup. He might want to go start somewhere else. I bet you a bunch of teams were watching this game and were watching him in this game because he put a pretty decent performance to maybe get hired by a different team. So hats off to him. I'm glad he had a great game. The rushing yards, Kenneth Gainwell, 12 carries, 78 yards. We haven't really seen much of Miles Sanders, just injuries, stuff like that. The regular stuff. But Kenneth Gainwell, 12 carries, 78 yards, and he had a touchdown. The receiving, man, Devonta Smith is going to be something special, and even Jalen Reagor had a pretty okay game. It wasn't the best, but 2 receptions, 19 yards. He had a couple key catches. I like this Watkins guy as well as Quez Watkins, 5 receptions, 84 yards. These are just couple. They have a couple future stars. I really think Reagor will come around and be a pretty big star. And I mean, Devonta Smith is pretty much a shoo-in to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. But I like to throw them in there with a couple other guys, not stars, but they're not horrible players either. But they just fit with the system. And I mean, I like what they've done. Let's see what they can do in the playoffs. This Tampa Bay game, I mean, we'll preview that later in the week as well, but that should be a great game to see. Eagles, they're honestly a sleeper team. Nobody expected them to get into the playoffs. They thought, they let go of Wentz, it's over. But honestly, Jalen Hurts has done great, and I think that's what they needed to do for a while. They need to get rid of Wentz and bring in somebody better, and Hurts fits. So they'll get him back in the playoff game. But we'll go over to the Cowboys here. Cowboys, didn't really do anything wrong. Dak Prescott, 295 yards, 5 touchdowns. What does he say now? I wonder how the lack of Zach Ertz could impact the Eagles in the playoffs since they traded him earlier this season. Yeah, it might impact him quite a bit here, Alec. He's not here, but he's still producing, so he'll pop things in here every now and again. Yeah, I was wondering, maybe if they had Zach Ertz in this game, maybe it would have been a lot closer. Now, of course, he's now with the Cardinals and helping them out a little bit better. By God, they need help. But what if we just see the Eagles and Cardinals face up in this playoffs? Man, we got a bunch to talk about later on in this week. Just what that happens if the Eagles win and Cardinals win and they ended up facing each other. Ertz against his old team. What a show-off that would be. The storylines would write itself. But, with the Cowboys, going back to the Cowboys, of course, Gallup is now gone for the season. But Dak Prescott still throwing touchdowns. They brought in Cooper Rush because, obviously it was a blowout. Ezekiel Elliott had a great run game as well. Almost 100 yards, 18 carries, 87 yards. Great ground game of him. Cedric Wilson, I like to play by him. I like to play of Murray Cooper and as well as CeeDee Lamb. I think they got a great package there of receivers, enough to maybe make a push at maybe the Super Bowl. But like I said, we'll preview all these games later in the week, but the Cowboys have been known, and Mike knows this. I don't have to say it for Mike. They have been known to choke in the first round of the playoffs, and, they're playing the Niners, and, it's one of their rivals, even over in a history of time. We'll just have to wait. We'll talk about that game. I'm sure that show will be exciting, but hopefully Cowboys can just, focus on with the players that they have and, looking to try and get another championship in Dallas. It's been since 1995. So Dallas is, they're calling them America's team, and they just haven't been America's team because, they picked up that name in the 90s pretty much because they were winning all the Super Bowls in the 90s. So hopefully they can get back to that. Hopefully make a push at the Super Bowl. But that's all I got on this game. Cowboys finishing 12-5. Eagles just making the playoffs 9-8. They'll make it as a playoff or a wild card. But like I said before, we'll go into all these games later here. But moving on, next game, Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. Of course, Joe Burrow did not play this game, and neither did Baker Mayfield. And honestly, I think that they needed. I'm sure Alec will chime in here because this is his team. But I think they needed to sit Baker down a while ago. Alec agrees with that. The guy, he has been hurt for a while. I think they needed to put Keenum in way earlier. Keenum, he works with the same system as Stefanski. He's pretty much the same quarterback as Baker Mayfield, but he's healthier. So, I mean, he had 176 yards in this game, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But the big play here was D'Ernest Johnson on the ground. 25 carries, 123 yards. He had a great game, 1 touchdown. Nick Chubb had 9 carries and 58 yards. Put those two guys together, it's very hard to stop. Receiving game, Jarvis Landry had that big touchdown catch as well. I mean, Demetric Felton had another touchdown as well. Donovan Peoples-Jones, he has been forming. I think he's getting better every year. Let's see what he said here. Baker should have surgery months ago. Yes, I agree with that. Case Keenum is such a solid quarterback that they would have been about the same this season. I mean, I think they might have made a little bit of more of a playoff push. I mean, I know they were pushing a little bit, but I think they probably could have picked up a couple more games. Baker just wasn't throwing interceptions. And every time he got sacked from him, believe me, I was at that Monday night game. TJ Watt came flying in, Cameron Hayward, Joe Schobert, everybody were coming in and just getting him. And it's just the pain that you could just sense as he was getting back up with the shoulder and his ribs. I hope they haven't ruined his career. I mean, he's gonna definitely have surgery. Man, he should be doing it right now. Get on it right now. But I mean, when he's held, everybody's saying time to get rid of Baker now. It's done. It's over. Listen, he was injured. Okay, I mean, I know I'm a Steelers fan, but he was injured. I like seeing this Browns team do good as well. I mean, but don't go down on this guy when he's injured. Okay. I don't give him one more healthy season. If he doesn't go up to play up to the hopes, then yeah, go ahead. You can move on. And I mean, they already came out and said we're staying with Baker for at least one more year. But I agree with it. Stay with him. Give him one healthy season. He's got to be healthy, and then you can make all the comments you want about him. But that's it for the Browns side. Let's go over to the Bengals side. Brandon Allen coming in for Joe Burrow. Obviously, they clinched their spot. They didn't need to get Burrow hurt, but Brandon Allen stepped in, didn't do too bad. 1 touchdown, 136 yards. He came in and did what he had to do for the most part, and they almost won this game. It was 21-16. It wasn't a blowout win for the Browns. Jamar Chase, he's going to be huge for them in the playoffs. 2 receptions, 26 yards. Obviously, they want to limit him as well because they don't want him to get hurt. They don't. Yeah. As I just said, yes, he's still going to start for the Browns. They announced that. Just give him one more year, and we'll see what happens. But back to the Bengals, they mostly played their. I mean, Trent Taylor also had 2 receptions. It was mostly a run game thing. I mean, Travion Williams and Chris Evans, I mean, combined for up there near the 100 yards. So, I mean, they didn't do too much on the offensive side either. I mean, so it's kind of hard to say, oh, this guy did good or this guy did good. They kind of limited everybody. They didn't want anybody to get hurt. Focus on the playoff game, and they're healthy. 10-7. They clinched their division. They clinched the farthest they were going to clinch. They did it. So good season for the Bengals. And Browns fans, they finished 8-9. Don't be so butthurt about the season. I know Alec isn't being butthurt, but most of my friends are Browns fans. Like, we could have done it. It's way better. Just be happy that you got here at this record, okay? Because, first of all, you had one of the toughest schedules. I mean, this whole AFC North had a lot of hard games to play. They really did. And the fact that the Browns finished this at this record, be happy with it, okay? Just be happy with it. But that's enough for that game. We move on here. Next game here I'm going to talk about, moving on down the list here. This one should be, honestly, kind of a surprise. The Lions coming out and defeating the Packers. 37-30. What a game this was. Jared Goff finally, looking like Jared Goff like he did it with the Rams. 238 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jamal Williams, 13 carries, 43 yards. I like what they did there. Maybe the Packers weren't playing to the fullest. Aaron Rodgers did play a little bit. So did Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers, 2 touchdowns, 138 yards. And then Love came in and he had a touchdown, 134 yards, but 2 interceptions as well. And I think that's that Detroit defense really overwhelmed them. And their receiving game, that St. Brown, 100 yards receiving, 109, and then Khalif Raymond, 4 receptions, 101 yards. Wow, that's something right there. They had 2 guys over 100 receiving yards. That was the key there as well. Finally, getting another win against a top team. Like, this was their Super Bowl. This was the Lions Super Bowl in this game. So hats off to them. They won. We got half an hour left in the show here, so kind of move quickly here. Packers, of course, clinched, I believe, the 1 seed. They're the 1 seed. Yeah, they're the 1 seed in the NFC. So they're kind of playing a little bit. They're just sandbagging maybe a little bit. But Vikings, next game, Vikings Bears. Obviously, the Vikings won this game, and obviously both of these coaches were fired. Nagy of the Bears and Zimmerman of the Vikings. And Vikings just did everything they needed to do to win this game. Bears didn't really put up too much. But Vikings, Kirk Cousins, 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, good performance. Dalvin Cook, 14 carries, 79 yards, did what he had to do. And, of course, Andy Dalton played for the Bears, and that's just, that's all I'm going to say for that. Andy Dalton played, so. But good game good. At least the Vikings finished off the season in the winning column. They finished 8-9 as well. But moving on to this next game here, this game really didn't mean anything at all. The Washington football team playing the Giants. Washington football team did win this game 22-7. Giants are just horrible, okay? I've no reason to talk about this. Washington at least has a little talent. Heineke had 120 yards, Gibson 146 yards rushing and a touchdown. So moving on, here's the game. I was praying on them all week. We'll talk a little bit about this. All week I was praying on them. The Jacksonville Jaguars pulled this off from my Steelers. Just one more time for Ben to get into the playoffs. We'll preview that game. Obviously, they got to play the Chiefs, but, you never know what can happen. But Jaguars won this game 26-11. Trevor Lawrence didn't do too bad. They won the game. 223 yards, 2 touchdowns. Raquel Armstead was huge on the ground, 9 carries, 52 yards. And then, Marvin Jones Jr. had some key catches, moving them down the field. They also had the touchdown. Then Laquan Treadwell, I like the story of him. He went to Ole Miss. A lot of people thought he wasn't going to play again. I actually remember watching the game. He tore something real bad. I think it might have been an ACL or something, but it took him a long time to recover. Now he's here playing in the NFL. So hats off to him. Hopefully, he was supposed to be he was a projected number 1 pick. Then of course, the injury happened. So hopefully he still has a successful career. You never know where he'll go, if he'll stay here. But then on the Colts side, Jonathan Taylor, 15 carries, 77 yards. He busted out for a couple big runs, but this Jaguars defense, kept them under 100 yards, and that's what they needed to do. And they really pressured Carson Wentz, especially with the interception. And they sacked him 6 times as well. And once you get Wentz under pressure, he plays bad. So, that's what they had to do, and that's what they did. So, Jaguars, thank you. As a Steelers fan, thank you for getting my team into the playoffs. Just one more time for Ben. And then, of course, I'll talk about this. I'll save the Steelers for last, but because I want to talk a little bit about that. But moving on to the next game, Titans just got past the Texans. Titans finished in 12-5. They're expected to get Derrick Henry back before the playoffs. So hopefully they'll be good there. Yeah, Texans they're garbage. Hopefully they can rebuild in the offseason, get a couple more players. Maybe, they still have the rights to Watson. Maybe they can trade him and at least get a couple more guys or a couple more picks to help them start the rebuild. So then the next game, Saints, they needed to win this game to go to try and get into the playoffs, but of course they were eliminated because the Niners ended up winning. But Saints, 9-8 to finish off the season. Alec and I were talking about, I really think Sean Payton should be one of the guys up there for the coach of the year. Wow. First year without Drew Brees. So thank God for him. Alec, you're popping in here. I'm running out of breath.
Yeah, man, I'm here. Hold on, I'm trying to get some things worked out. You keep it going, man. Hold down the fort.
All right, I'll keep going. All right, Alec, thank you for popping in. But Saints, 30-20, they pulled out this win. Matt Ryan had a good game as well, 216 yards, a touchdown. So I mean, they a lot of people thought they were going to have a horrible season, the Falcons, but they ended up having not too bad of a season, honestly. Finishing, 7-10, but we were expecting them to do way worse than they did, and they kind of made a push at the playoffs there at the end. But it just didn't go in their favor. Saints, they really needed to win this game. They came out and did it. They just got to move on from that. I think they should stick with, their quarterback, Winston, of course, hurt. Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian combined in this game a little bit. They did what they had to do, but I think they should stay with Winston. I think he give him another shot. But and Alvin Kamara, 146 yards on the ground as well. That's your key right there. Just run Kamara. That's going to be your go-to guy. So nothing that game. We're moving along here. A little bit of the show left here. It's about 2:37, so I got to move kind of quick here. But next game, talk about here. We'll go Jets-Bills. Quick one here. Bills clinching the division for the second consecutive year. They would have clinched it anyways because, of course, the Dolphins defeated the Patriots 33-24. And we'll talk about that next because, the Bills played the Jets. So the Dolphins 33-24. Mac Jones 261 yards in the defeat, one touchdown. But the Dolphins came out and did what they did what they needed to do. That's why I really don't think it was a great idea to fire Brian Flores. He made great play calls, and they ended up winning this game. So, but I guess they decided it was the right decision. Next game, Seahawks, defeated the Cardinals. Seahawks finally coming around. Of course, they were eliminated to finish the season 7-10. Good to finish the season with them. Of course, the Cardinals are in the playoffs. So, Kyler Murray, 240 yards in this game, one touchdown. Hopefully they can kind of bounce back, in the playoffs because, Alec, they've been kind of falling apart here. So hopefully they can come back and maybe not choke in the playoffs. But moving on here. Oh, just out of breath. Running out of breath. But next game, flying quickly here. What do we got here? Well, let's just talk Steelers here. Steelers, they did what they need to do in overtime. Boswell coming out, kicking the field goal. TJ Watt broke the record. I'm happy he broke the record. They got the Huntley a couple times. He got the Huntley a couple times. They pulled this out in overtime, 16-13 with the leg of Boswell. Just thank God Jacksonville already secured the win. And I'm like, no, they got to win. They got to win now. Big Ben, that final drive, convert a bunch of third downs, and of course that 4th and 8, he fired that pass. It came in low. I'm like, oh no, did he drop it? But of course, Ray McLeod just scraped that ball up and just said, I got it. And then of course the big run by Najee Harris. He's going to be their key in that playoff game. They got to get it to Harris. He's got to have some big runs, and Deontay Johnson as well. You got to get him going. But next game, I'd love to talk a lot about Pittsburgh. So.
Matt, can you hear me now?
Move on here. Yep, I hear you fine.
All right, man. I'm audio only at this point, but I'm in the show walking through the streets of Youngstown, man. I'm on.
All right.
You've done a great job holding down the fort, man.
Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness.
You got some backup coming in now. Where are we at?
Right.
Fill me in.
Well, so I'm just trying to get through the rest of these NFL games. A couple more to talk about. Next one, it's going to be the Rams versus the Niners. The Niners came in. They needed to win this game, and they were in the playoffs, and they came in and won that game. Jimmy Garoppolo came in and did what he had to do, 316 yards passing. A lot of people think he needs to leave, but honestly, I really think Jimmy G is the guy here, honestly. Then Deebo Samuel.
In my opinion here, he's the guy for the 49ers. There were a lot of people talking throughout this season that, he's kind of a guy that maybe Cleveland should look at. I completely disagree with that. I think he's just as bad as Baker Mayfield is injured. So I know he was playing this game with some injuries. I don't think it impacts him that much. He's never been an accurate guy. You saw it in that game this weekend, and he's a good fit for there, but I don't think he has much longer in the league.
No. Hopefully he can get him another playoff push. I mean, you never know. They're playing the Cowboys, and I've talked about it earlier in the show. The Cowboys have been known to choke in the first round. So,
right. And, coming up with that Cowboys game, we're going to talk about that on Friday. But, I think he's a big part. If he shows up to play like, he did in their last Super Bowl run, Cowboys are in trouble, man.
Cowboys are in trouble. I'm kind of nervous for that game. But the Cooper Kupp, we'll go talk for Rams just for a split second. Cooper Kupp, of course, didn't get the record. He came pretty close. 118 receiving yards. They didn't go to him a lot in overtime, of course. Stafford went to Odell, and he ended up getting picked, and that was it. So I think they should have went to him more, honestly. Only 7 receptions. Feed the guy. The guy, had the record on the line, and he's been your go-to guy for pretty much this whole season. So I thought they should have went to him more, but they didn't.
All right, I'm back here. Sorry. Trying to talk to this like a phone, but I'm on a Google web page, so I keep exiting out. Oh, my God.
There we go. I'm back. But then finally, let's move on to this last. We still got one more, but it'll be a split second because the Panthers are horrible. The Buccaneers came in and just torched the Panthers 41-17. Of course, the Buccaneers looking to go back to the Super Bowl, and this really wasn't a match for the Panthers, who had a good start to the season, but of course they fell apart as usual. But now moving on to this last game. Man, I was falling asleep in this game, but I just had to stay awake. I'm like, watch this game go to overtime. Watch it just be a tie. And that would knock Pittsburgh out. Raiders, Chargers. Of course, the Raiders won in overtime, 35-32. Their kicker came in and, kicked the field goal with 2 seconds left. Derek Carr easily could have just said, hey, I'm going to take a knee. We're in. We don't have to go for the win. They could just get the tie, and the Chargers and the Raiders would be in the playoffs, and Pittsburgh would be out. But, of course, he called that timeout and brought in the kicker, and they kicked the field goal, and they won. I was so happy.
Oh, Matt, I bet you were. That game was crazy. I was trying to go to bed, and all of a sudden I hear my roommate out there in the living room start, screaming and whatnot. I walk out there, and sure enough, this game's going to overtime when, it's sitting there at a 12-point game. And the thing was a 12-point game. It is so hard to end up in a tie.
Yeah. And it was making me really mad because these Collinsworth kept on bringing up, they kept on bringing up the tie thing. Like, why would you keep bringing it up? That's why it happened, Collinsworth, you meathead. He kept bringing it up. All Pittsburgh will be out if they tie. Pittsburgh will be out if they tie. And even Al Michaels at the end of the game, he's like, Raiders are in, Chargers are out, and Pittsburgh is in. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like, I know we're playing the Chiefs, but it's just great to get Ben in there one more time, finish off his career with at least a playoff performance, honestly. So I'm happy for that. But that's going to do it for the NFL. We're going to move on to the NBA here. Alec, you still there? I don't think he is. But we're talking here. Got 15 minutes left in the show. Talking Milwaukee Bucks versus the Charlotte Hornets. I like this matchup. I do. Milwaukee Bucks 26-16. Doing pretty good on the season. And Hornets not doing too bad either. 21-19, 11-5 at home. The Bucks are favored in this one by 2. But Charlotte has a 64.7% to win this. Okay. Alec, of course, let me finish this off here. But Giannis doing pretty good on this year. And then, of course, Bridges and, the other Ball brother doing pretty good in this one. So they just got to keep going with those guys. I like what they've been doing. So keep going with that. My pick in this game, I gotta go. I want to go Charlotte. I do, but I gotta stick with the Bucks. They've been having a stellar season so far. Looking to get back to the NBA championship. They did just lose to the Hornets. The last time they played, 114-106. But I don't see that happening twice in a row. So I got to go with the Bucks here, and that to probably win this game. I'm going with the Bucks to win this game, but they're second in the Central Division. So hopefully they can move on. I mean, they're 2.5 games back out of first. Cleveland's right behind them. What a tight division that is. Hopefully we can see more good play out of that division. I mean, of course, Chicago and Cleveland have been kind of bad these past recent years, and Milwaukee's only been the best team in that division. So it's good to see some competition in that division. I like to see that. But moving on here, I'm sure Alec will pop up his pick here. I'm going Bucks here. Next game we're talking here, we're going to go into some hockey. We've got a couple of hockey games to talk about here. Going to talk about the New York Rangers. That's tonight. New York Rangers versus the Los Angeles Kings. This game, Rangers, I've been kind of rolling with them for a little bit. They're 23-9-4. They're on the season. And the Rangers, not too bad, 17-13-5. So not too bad. LA is favored in this game, but I like what the Rangers have been doing. Panarin has been doing great. Chris Kreider, I like what he's doing, and also Adam Fox. Kreider has 21 goals on the season, averaging 12 points per game. Those points are good. That includes assists and passing it off and getting to the guys that can score with it. But then Panarin has 26 assists, 10 goals himself, but and also 36 points. But the Kings not doing too bad. Key guys to look out for in this game. Kopitar is doing pretty good. Also, Adrian Kemp is doing all right as well. 15 goals. So look out for him as well. Kopitar has 20 assists and also has 9 goals on the season. So those are the guys to look out here for. But I've been kind of rolling with the Rangers. I like what they've been doing. I'm going to go Rangers here in this game to pull off the win here. But Alec, I'm sure he'll pop up his pick here in any minute. So we're going to move on to the next game here. Minnesota Wild against the Winnipeg Jets. Minnesota Wild has been doing a great job this season, 21-10. They bounced back and forth a little bit this past month. A couple of their games have been postponed. Last game they played, they defeated the Capitals, and before that, they defeated the Bruins. And the Capitals and Bruins are probably one of the most physical and tough teams to play against in the NHL. So good. They won both games 3-2. So hopefully they can come in and get this game as well. So hopefully they can win this game. Honestly, wait 1 second here. Checking something out. Bear with me, people. I'm gonna put out there mid near the end of the show. Thanks for everybody who's been tuning in here when I'm here by myself. Alec did pop in a little bit, but trying to finish this strong here. But Minnesota Wild, honestly, I think this game might be canceled. We're checking on this now because it says on ESPN that it's canceled.
Hey, Matt, I'm back in here, man.
You back
Finish
in
up
here?
the show.
Right. I think this Wild game is actually canceled because it says on ESPN that it got postponed.
No, man, I'm not even surprised. The NHL's been absolutely crazy this season with cancelizations left and right. So I'm not even surprised at this point if you were to go ahead and tell me another game got canceled. Why don't you just go ahead and pick another NHL game to go into?
Yeah, I'm not quite. Don't quote me on that. On here it says it's postponed, but you can never really believe ESPN too much. But if this game was happening, I was going to go with the Wild. But I'll go ahead and pick another game here tonight. Let's go. The Blue Jackets versus Canadians. We'll talk about that game. So Blue Jackets. Actually, no. Let's not talk about that game because it got postponed.
Oh man!
Yeah, look, here are all the games that postponed.
These Monday shows with the NHL. It feels like NHL kills every game, and once again here we are on Monday, and we can't rely on the NHL to
here's
give
all
us
the games here's all the games that got postponed. Blue Jackets, Canadians got postponed. Lightning, Devils got postponed. Minnesota Wild and the Jets also got postponed, as well as the Senators and the Oilers. So the games that we got here, we got Bruins Capitals. Let's talk about that game. Those are two tough teams to play each other. Bruins are 18-11. Capitals are 20-7.
And Matt, everybody knows how much you love the Capitals.
Oh gosh, yeah, and Boston
and the
as well.
Right. Your two favorite teams to talk about here, man. It's one of the only games on.
The only player I can stand just the slightest is Alex Ovechkin. 51 points, 24 goals.
Oh, yeah.
I can't really stand anybody much else. I mean, especially with the Bruins. Brad Marchand, I just got something out for him. I can't stand him. Can't stand the whole team. I just can't. But if I had to pick, I'm going to have to pick here. I got to go Capitals in this game. I say they can come in and win this game. So I'm going Capitals in this game. They got their leader, Ovechkin, and he's been there a while. He knows how to win big games, so I'm going to go with him.
Yeah, man, I'm going to have to roll with the Capitals well in this game. As much as, the Bruins have been, a pretty good team this season, it feels like Washington's on another Stanley Cup run. They feel like they're one of the strongest teams to touch the ice this season. I know you don't like them, but obviously Ovechkin is an absolute beast on the ice, man. Yeah. Call him Jack Frost, whatever you want. When he steps out there on the ice, he is there to dominate. And, I mean, I feel like you just see the rest of this team kind of rallying around that and his ability to control everything out there on the court. So, I mean, I got to go with the Capitals in this game too. Obviously, I'm not a huge NHL guy, but I saw what happened when Ovechkin went off and led this team to the Stanley Cup Finals, and they end up winning it. And you saw him being just that guy walking around with the title everywhere. He wanted that thing more than anybody else in the NHL, and when he finally got it, he wasn't letting it go. And you can kind of feel that this ice psychopath, he wants another trip to the Stanley Cup Finals. I got to go Washington.
All right, now real quick here before we give out Beast of the Week here. Bucks Hornets, why don't you give me what you got and then your pick as well.
Well, I was looking at this game. Bucks got a lot of strong opponents this week. I think they got the Nets coming up, or they just had the Nets a little bit ago, and I think they got a strong game coming up later this week that we might be talking about. I don't remember which one it is at the moment. I think it's against Golden State, actually. So they can't start looking ahead. They can't get ahead of themselves to finish out this season or finish out this opening half of the season until we get to the All-Star break. They've been strong for a while now. Obviously, Giannis is the guy. He's cemented himself as the guy pretty much every day. He hits the court. He's one of the best players in the world. And when you got one of the best players in the world, if anybody else can come along with him, then, they're going to be a very successful team. When, you see an up-and-coming star, LaMelo Ball on the other, or pardon me, the other Ball brother on the other side, I think you kind of have to just go and say, you know what, maybe not right now, but in a couple of years, this ball kid, he's going to be giving a guy like Giannis some fits. I don't think the Hornets have what it takes right now. I think they're a couple pieces away from that. I think the Bucks are a fully loaded team ready for another big playoff run. So I got to go Milwaukee in this game. I just think they got more pieces right now. They got more stuff figured out. They have stronger coaching. They got stronger conditioning. Obviously, it's the NBA. Anything can happen. And you could very easily see the Charlotte team pull the upset. I mean, they got Michael Jordan at the top of their realm. Yeah. So you obviously know that team is putting something together. However long it takes, something is coming. And when it's here, it's going to be very exciting. But I just think they're still a little bit off. So until they're ready to go full steam ahead, I got to take the Bucks in this one.
All right. Well, there's about 5 minutes left here. Got one more thing to do. Why don't you go ahead and do it for me?
All right, man. This week's Beast of the Week, baby. Who is it?
Daniel Carlson, the kicker for the Raiders, accounted for 17 of their 35 points. Of course, especially with that last kick with 2 seconds in overtime. Like
it wasn't a short kick either. I mean, 41 yards is still a distance that is very easily missable, even in the NFL, even for a guy like Daniel Carlson.
The longest he kicked was 52 yards. Unbelievable. I kind of had an honorable mention in here. Hunter Renfro, good on the kick returns, and he had some key catches in the red zone as well. Hats off to him as well in this game. Of course, he did a lot for Clemson as well. But if you don't have anything else, that's going to be it for this edition.
Well, Matt, can I put an honorable mention out there as well?
Yeah.
All right. Honorable mention to me, Rajon Rondo, this guy, gets on the floor for the first time, and he's instantly at the top of his game. I mean, taking over the slot of Ricky Rubio. Assists are still down. That's going to come. But the fact that he's coming out here instantaneously dropping double-digit points every night for the Cavs so far, even in a game we lose to the Warriors 97-82, whatever it was, and he still goes off. I mean, Rajon Rondo definitely coming out as a beast right now for the Cavs. And obviously another one, Klay Thompson, man, put up 17 points in like 25 minutes, and it was a huge night for him to come back. Hasn't played in 2.5 years. I mean, if we're talking comeback player of the year, you got to be looking his way right now.
Absolutely. But that's going to be it here. Thanks for everybody hanging in with me for this hour. Thank you for Alec popping in here and giving me a
great
breath
job,
here.
man. You held down the fort strong for all of us today. But, it'll be a full 4 show tomorrow. All of us should be back on. So come on back for that. We got college basketball top 10s. Matt, take us out of here, man.
All right, man. That's it for the Casual Sports Podcast. I've been Matt Morrison, and that's Alec Caberna here. We'll see y'all tomorrow.